There is a story we are often told about success. It is a story of dramatic moments, a story of being discovered, of the lucky break, of the instant when everything changes. We are shown the finish line, the trophy, the applause, and we are led to believe that this is where success is found, in that final, visible act. But this story is incomplete. It is, in fact, a myth, and believing this myth will leave you perpetually waiting for a moment that never arrives. Because success does not begin with your hands, it does not begin with action. It begins in a much quieter, much deeper place. It begins where no one can see. It begins with your mind. The real work, the work that determines everything, is invisible. It happens long before the world takes notice. Think of a great oak tree. You see its height, its strength, its sprawling branches. But what you do not see is the root system. Deep beneath the soil, far from the light, that tree has been building a network for years. A foundation that searches for water, that anchors against the storm, that sustains the visible growth. Without that hidden, patient, underground work, the tree could not stand. Your mind is your root system. The quality of your thinking, the depth of your conviction, the clarity of your vision. This is what lies beneath the surface of every achievement. The hands merely execute what the mind has already built. This is the silent law that governs preparation and opportunity. The law says that opportunity does not create readiness. Readiness meets opportunity. You do not get lucky and then become good. You become good and then you recognize luck for what it always was, a chance to apply your preparation. The moment of execution, when your hands finally move, is not the beginning of the journey. It is the midpoint. It is the manifestation of all the prior, unseen labor. Your mind must do the work first. It must design the blueprint. It must wrestle with the problems. It must see the outcome so clearly that the action becomes not a question of if, but simply a matter of when and how. You start with your mind. You finish with your hands. And it is under pressure that the patterns of your mind are revealed. Pressure does not build character, it reveals it. It shows you whether your mental preparation was diligent or disordered. Consider two people facing the same professional crisis. One panics. Their thoughts scatter, their decisions become reactive, their hands fumble. Why? Because their mind was never trained for that moment. It was cluttered with doubt, unfocused, without a principle to guide it. The other person becomes calm. They assess, they recall their preparation, they execute a plan. Their hands work with precision, not because they are magically brave, but because their mind has already walked this path 1,000 times in quiet contemplation. The pressure merely turned the invisible mental rehearsal into visible action. Or consider the athlete at the final shot. The crowd is noise. The score is close. Their hands are steady because their mind is still. They are not thinking about the shot. They are returning to the 10,000 quiet repetitions no one witnessed. The pattern was set long ago. Pressure is merely the spotlight that shows what was already there. This is why you must protect your focus as if it were gold. Distraction is not merely an interruption of your time. It is a corruption of your root system. Every input that does not align with your blueprint weakens the structure. Your mind cannot build a clear, powerful vision if it is constantly bombarded with noise, with opinion, with the trivial. You must become a curator of your own consciousness. What you read, what you watch, who you listen to, these are the materials with which your mind constructs reality. Feed it clutter and your hands will produce clutter. Feed it clarity, purpose, and principle, and your hands will produce work of substance. The fight is won or lost long before you lift a finger, in those silent hours of what you choose to let in and what you choose to keep out. Guard the gateway to your mind. The sequence of growth is never random. It follows a dependable order. First, you learn. You absorb a principle, a skill, a piece of knowledge, but learning alone is worthless. It is potential energy. So second, you must apply. You take that knowledge into the world through your hands. You attempt, you try, you execute. This is where friction appears. Third, you must evaluate. You look honestly at the results of your action, not with emotion but with data. What worked? What did not? Fourth, you correct. You take that evaluation back into your mind, you adjust your understanding, you refine your blueprint. And fifth, you persist. You return to application with this new, improved mental model. Learn, apply, evaluate, correct, persist. This cycle is the engine of competence. Your mind initiates it, your hands complete it, and then your mind begins it again, wiser than before. Do not wait for motivation. Motivation is a weather pattern, it comes and goes. Discipline is a climate. It is the system you build that operates regardless of your fleeting feelings. You must build systems that translate mental decisions into physical actions automatically. The writer does not wait for inspiration to write. They sit at the desk at the same time each day. Their hands begin to move because the system dictates it, and eventually, the mind engages. The action itself generates the clarity. You do not need to feel like doing it. You simply need to have decided in advance with your mind that it will be done. Your feelings are followers, not leaders. Let your disciplined systems lead. Let your hands move on schedule, and your motivation will often catch up later. Moods are poor masters, but they can be faithful servants to a predetermined plan. You must also understand strategic patience, not passive waiting, but active cultivation. There are seasons to all things. A seed does not fret during its time in the dark soil. It is not idle. It is gathering, transforming, building the cellular structure that will become the stalk, the leaf, the fruit. Your mind's preparation is that season in the soil. It feels like nothing is happening. It feels slow. It is easy to doubt. But you cannot rush germination. You cannot command a harvest in a week. Respect the timeline of development. Start with your mind and give that process the time it requires. Do not let the silence of the growth period tempt you to abandon the work. The hands will have their season of harvest, but only if the mind completes its season of sowing. Then comes the critical phase of feedback and refinement. You must measure. You must have a way to know if your actions are producing the desired effect. The mind that is not open to feedback is a mind that has stopped growing. It is a closed system, destined for entropy. Look at the results your hands have created. Compare them to the vision your mind first conceived. Where are the gaps? This is not failure, this is data. This is the most valuable information you will receive. Then, with humility and determination, you correct. You go back to the blueprint. You alter the plan. You refine the technique. This loop of action, measurement, and mental correction is the sharpening stone. It turns blunt effort into a precise tool. And slowly, if you maintain this cycle, you will feel momentum begin to build. This is the compounding effect, the flywheel. At first, pushing that heavy flywheel is exhausting. Your mind must push through doubt. Your hands must push through resistance. Each rotation is slow and difficult, but you persist. Learn, apply, evaluate, correct, persist. And with each turn, the wheel stores energy. It becomes slightly easier to push. It begins to turn on its own a little. The momentum of past effort starts to carry you forward. The actions of your hands become more fluid, more effective, because they are powered by the accumulated kinetic energy of all your previous cycles. What was once a struggle becomes a sustainable force. The connection between mind and hand becomes seamless, almost effortless. This is not magic. It is physics. It is the result of consistent effort applied in the right direction over time. Ultimately, this process leads to a breakthrough. But understand this, a breakthrough is not a one-time event. It is a lifestyle. It is the moment-by-moment choice to start with the mind and finish with the hands until it becomes your nature. The emotional elevation you feel is not from a single victory. It is from the integrity of the process itself. It is the deep satisfaction of knowing your outer world is a true reflection of your inner world, that there is no gap between what you believe and what you do. This alignment is the highest form of freedom. It is peace. It is power. It is the quiet confidence that comes from being the architect and the builder of your own life. So today, do not look at your hands and wonder why they are not creating. Look to your mind. What have you built there? What vision lives in that quiet space? What principles guide it? What distractions have you allowed to weaken its structure? Clean the workshop of your thoughts. Clarify the design. See the outcome with such vivid detail that it feels real before it is real. Do the invisible work. Plant the deep roots. Push the flywheel with patience. And then, when the blueprint is clear, when the preparation is complete, let your hands move with certainty. Let them bring into the world what you have already built within. The journey of 1,000 miles begins not with a step, but with the decision to take it. The masterpiece begins not with a brushstroke, but with the vision that inspires it. You are both the thinker and the doer, the strategist and the laborer, the dreamer and the builder. Do not neglect one for the other. Honor the sequence. Start with your mind. Finish with your hands. And in that disciplined, thoughtful, purposeful process, you will find not just what you sought to achieve, but who you sought to become.